Oh, hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Happy Thursday. We are so excited to have you back with us here again. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you today. We get to talk to the one and only Matthew Berry here in this show today. We're breaking down everything you need to know for week 8, starting with those matchups here, Adam, and getting all the way into it. And we've got Thursday Night Football tonight. How you doing? How's it going?
It's going well. Yeah, another week starting. So
Mhm.
hopefully we put up some big performances this week. Critical week
I
8,
need
6
it.
teams on bye.
I was setting some of my lineups just, early, making sure that everything's good to go. Woof. I knew it was going to be bad because obviously we went through the waiver wire, but then I was really looking around at him and saying to myself, yikes, this is the week. I mean, this is why we always say never give up, because you could be facing one of these teams that's, has a good record this week, but all of a sudden they're missing Jaxson Smith and Jigba, Monroe St. Brown, all like couple of these running backs. Not so big on the quarterback front, because, well, I don't know, Kyler Murray, I guess, if you want
Nah,
to go
that
that
doesn't
far.
count.
Well, yeah, it's
You
okay,
were
Kyler
better
Murray.
off with him on the bench anyway.
Take your time coming back from this bye week anyway. But yeah, it's I looked around at him and it's a little bit brutal out there for some of my lineups at least.
Yeah, I think almost everyone is going through it unless you just get fortunate and don't have a lot of players on bye this week. But yeah, it's a challenge, and it's been that way a lot of weeks too, especially in the deeper formats. Because again, I don't think the waiver wire has been great this year in the
No,
deeper
it's been
formats.
awful.
Obviously, in the shallow formats, there's options almost every single week. But if you play in a very deep league, and I know a lot of our listeners do, it's challenging because, again, you've been overpaying on the waiver wire just to get a body in the lineup. And a lot of times those players have not panned out.
I was actually awake when the GST waivers ran last night. I do not know. Don't ask me why. It was late.
I
I
well, I saw it too. I mean, you're not surprised with me because
No, no, no. Everyone's surprised with me. No, we know that you were up looking at that email at what time is that for you then? 1:30
it was
in the
like, yeah,
morning?
1:20, 1:30
You
a.m.
need to seek help. But I
I
was
know.
trying to get Joe Flacco, but I was looking at Jen's team. I said, "Ah, she needs a quarterback. One other team in our league needed a quarterback as well." So I threw out a bid of like $98 for Joe Flacco, but he went for 181.
Yeah, she didn't spend any money
No, I
until
know. I
this
saw
week,
she had,
and her
and this is
team is
why it's
great.
important
Now,
because
sometimes people get lucky,
I
but
know.
the point you brought up, and I brought it up a lot, and it's very important, and especially this time of year, when
Yes.
you have a need for like it's hard running back and receivers, everyone's going to be all in on those guys, so it doesn't matter. But when you're looking at quarterback and tight end, and even defense, if you're to that level, you want to see. I always do this. So like there was a league I needed a quarterback this week because I have Fields and Lawrence. Lawrence is on
Mhm.
bye. So I go to the roster grid and I go, okay, who is going to put in a bid for a quarterback this week and go through? And there were like 3 teams. I was like, okay, that means you will have to bid a little bit higher. You look at how much money they have, how aggressive you think they might be on a quarterback based on what they've done on waivers the previous 7 weeks, and make your bid accordingly. And I think it's very important. Does it take time? Yeah. But if anything in life, when you take the time to put in the work, the
Yep.
results will be there. So I do think, especially this time of year, and when we get these questions, how much should I bid on these players over the next few weeks? You really need to look because there are some people that are out of money. I
Oh
know
yeah.
for me, it's very uncharacteristic this time of year to have leagues where I'm below 50% of my budget, but it's just the way it's been due to injuries and the circumstances of certain teams. So I'm a little bit lower than usual because I tend not to be aggressive early. But again, it all depends on your team. Sometimes you need to be, but it is very important when you're, especially this week, 6 teams on
Mhm.
bye. But for the weeks going forward, where we have some like 4 teams on bye and you need a quarterback, you want to look and see who else needs that position because that can alter your bid.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was looking at last night, but I saw Jen still in our league still had $1,000 worth of
Yeah,
her
I
fab.
don't know
So,
how.
but because I knew that, and one other, I think it was Truck needed a quarterback this week as well. He has a lot less. I think he's in the 200s. And so when I took that information, I said, okay, I'm probably not going to get Joe Flacco. So I don't want to go crazy with this bid because Jen is always going to have more money than me in this situation. But it was one where you just have to take a look. Just take the extra. That took me 30 seconds, maybe 45 45 seconds to look at who needed a quarterback. You just go to your league, go to their rosters, who needs a quarterback this week or next week. You still have 9 teams on a bye next week. I mean, that's not nothing. It's the Browns, the Jets, the Eagles, the Buccaneers. Those are at least, 2 quarterbacks that you're going to be without and some key players there. So yeah, just take the time and do it. But I didn't get him, so it does not matter. I liked your Jalen Noel pickup though. That was a good one.
I was surprised no one else bid on him.
I know. I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
He's my favorite. I think he's a sleeper this week.
Well, personally. I have him and Higgins now on that roster.
Oh, well, what are you going to do? Play them both?
I might. Look at my team. That team's well, it's in trouble.
It'll get better.
It's in trouble, but I really need Bucky Irving back. The problem is Bucky Irving has already been ruled out for the week.
I think that injury is going to be worse than.
And they're on bye next week.
Yep.
So then why didn't they put him on IR? So you think it's just it hasn't been healing? Because now this is the 4th game missed.
Yeah. Well, remember, we didn't even know because that injury, he did not disclose that injury that he's out with to trainers until that Tuesday or Wednesday. So yeah, I just think they've been ruling him out so early. That's what's nerve-wracking to me. It hasn't been a game time decision. It hasn't been he had a limited practice. He has not been practicing, and they've been ruling him out on Wednesdays and Tuesdays. I think that's a red flag.
Yeah, thanks for making me feel better.
Oh, sorry. I'm just,
they're on bye.
The truth here.
They're on bye next week, so I
hope to get him back.
I hope he comes back in week 10 because if he doesn't, then my team in this league is probably done. Even with like CD Lamb and Puka Nacua and Igbuka, it's just I have no running backs. I needed him, so
I can't believe in 2 weeks it's week 10. Oh my goodness!
Really, this season it felt like we were just drafting yesterday. Or 2 weeks
ago. Yeah, I was
ago.
just drafting Travion Henderson and RJ Harvey, so I'm trying to forget
let's
that.
Let's not remember those.
I've got nightmares actually. I can remember my drafts, and
that's why I'm not sleeping.
Those guys, no kidding though. I can understand if you're thinking about those guys why you haven't been sleeping. Jeez, that has been bad. Ian Harden's puts out a great article every single week, but it's the 10 things to know going into, the coming week. So week 8, this week, and he did the biggest fantasy bust at each position through 7 weeks. And I went through and I was like, okay, I've got 2 out of the 4 that he mentioned, but he said Kyler Murray, Caleb Johnson, Jerry Jeudy, Colston Loveland. Those are the ones that he highlighted. Colston Loveland, I forgot. He had a preseason ADP of tight end 14.
Yeah. I mean,
he's tight end 50 right now.
Because he was coming off the shoulder injury, but after that, he was healthy. And I think people just looked at the draft capital and said, well, if the Bears are going to invest such an early pick and take him before Tyler Warren, you would think that they would incorporate him into the offense. And it just hasn't happened. So I actually did not. I don't know if I have Loveland in redraft. No, I don't. I had him. I did take him in some best ball. I took Jeudy in one draft and immediately regretted it, so that I didn't take him anywhere else. No Caleb Johnson, and who was the other one?
Kyler.
Oh yeah, no.
I took him one time just for us. I took him one time just because I didn't want to miss out. I've got to stop doing that. Though we always do that. Though we say, I'm out on this guy all season, and then our last draft comes and we say, well, hang on, if he's good, we should have done that with CMC. That's what should have happened.
Well, I did. So I said, if I'm going to do 10 drafts, I want to have one in CMC in case he blows up like this. I didn't get him, and I am in more than 10 leagues, and I didn't get him. So, yeah, that one kind of hurts right now. We'll see though. Let's see him finish the year.
Yeah.
But so far, I
mean,
if you take a lot of people had him late first round, obviously that's a winning pick right now. But again, everyone, even if you did not like CMC, you knew that this outcome was possible. It's all about would he stay healthy. Now, for him to be the most healthy player on that roster is the stunning part. With everyone going down on that team, CMC is the one that is the model of health.
He's on pace to have 449 touches this season. I'll say it one more. 449 touches. That's 8 shy of the second most ever in a regular season. The pace that he is on right now is just absolutely insane to me. And he is obviously going, I mean, you don't need us to tell you this. He's going to be the centerpiece of this San Francisco 49ers offense, because that is just where they're going to run through. I mean, he's 29 years old. Yeah, he's coming off the bilateral Achilles tendonitis, but the workload has just been remarkable. And that's the one thing where he is holding up. And this workload, I don't know if he can keep up that same workload for a whole season, but man, 449 touches is absolutely amazing.
He tied a season high with 31 touches last week. So it's like every week he is doing this. And even that Thursday night game on a short week against the Rams when they won in overtime, he had 30 touches that week on a short week. So, yeah, they are just piling it up. And what's crazy is if you just look at his receiving stats, they're better than a lot of wide receivers in the NFL. This is just his receiving numbers. 53 catches, 516 yards, 3 touchdowns. He has not had a game lower than 52 receiving yards. And I think his receiving prop this past week, I think it got into the low 40s, if I remember. I know it was like 37 a couple weeks ago. So interested to see where it's at this week because he's just smashing it at this point. I mean, no fewer than 7 targets in a game. So you have a running back and a receiver. That's what.
It's a cheat code.
Yeah, and the receiving numbers are like better than what we've seen in the past. And the running has not been efficient until this past week because they got back one of their best offensive linemen, George Kittle.
Yep.
You know,
Stop.
he's not.
Stop. I said, yep.
I mean, his highest rushing yard number was 69 yards in week 1, and then he never topped 60 until this past week when he had 129 because Kittle was blocking.
Yeah, it's gonna be fine. It's his weekend, Adam. It's George Kittle's weekend. It's
I know.
Tight end week. Tight end day? National tight end day week. Whatever.
So that means the tight ends from tonight are excluded.
They started last Sunday.
They started last Thursday. Jeez, every tight end scored in that game.
I mean, Oronde, Gadsden,
4 tight ends in that game, right?
Yeah,
scored 3 for Pittsburgh and Fant.
Yeah, and Fant. Yeah, it was crazy. So we'll see if it changes. But yeah, shout out to CMC because he's just a walking cheat code basically right now in fantasy. I looked at some, when you make the mistake of looking at who you're facing and seeing what they have, the projected points. I've got like 3 teams I'm facing CMC. The other couple are facing Jonathan Taylor. I'm like, oh man, just buckle up.
Facing Taylor is the absolute worst.
It's the worst. I just chalk up probably a loss immediately, but it's fine. Some good things have happened before, so we'll see if they can happen again. With some injury news and just updates really on the quarterback front here, Adam, is where we have to focus to start this show off. Jayden Daniels has been ruled out going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, so he will not play on Monday night because of the low-grade hamstring strain. So that was per Adam Schefter. He did, again, go through the MRI, and they said that there was no long-term damage. It's his right hamstring, not the same injury that's kept him out for the 2 previous games this season. So Marcus Mariota, you're going to see him again. He's getting a 3rd start in place of Jayden Daniels. We've seen him before. Again, he's been 1-1 in those games when he's been in there. The offense has scored a combined 61 points with him in there as well. And Marcus Mariota, I think if you need it, I don't mind him as a streamer. You just really want to hope. The thing that's holding me back from saying, yeah, go ahead and get him, Adam, is that we don't know if we're going to see Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin again. And so that's going to, at least Marcus Mariota can still get stuff done a little bit with his legs, but you really hope that he gets McLaurin and Samuel to return because that's a boost for him. So in his 2 starts, he's completed a combined 31 of 48 passes, 363 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. So not the best, not the sexiest name we're going to talk about for streaming quarterbacks, but yeah, we just have to keep an eye on McLaurin and Samuel and their return.
Yeah, and going into Kansas City too. It's
tough,
not a great matchup as well. So, yeah, I think he's probably a little bit lower than some of the other potential streamers. Obviously, in a league with 2 quarterback or super flex, you can get him and start him if you have bye week issues or one of your guys got hurt. We know he can run, so that's going to help. But, yeah, I guess it depends on what's available, where you rank him. But, I mean, he's probably top 20 this week, though, I'd say, just because of his ability to run. I mean, you mentioned Flacco. I mean, you'd rather have him, right? And
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Flacco's like way up, actually way up for me this week.
Yeah.
Uh,
So a revenge game against the Jets.
Exactly. We love the narrative games. I need to see whose birthday it is this week. I can't believe I haven't prepped the show for birthday narrative week or whatever whatever we call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm with you. It's not, again, not the best name, but if you need a body this week, you're pretty lucky though with the 6 teams we have on bye. Really, it's not a huge disadvantage at the quarterback position. You're really looking at some of the receivers, the running backs, that kind of situation there. But we'll see if McLaurin and Deebo Samuel are ready to return. But again, Jayden Daniels has been ruled out. Hopefully you kept your backup quarterback, and it is going to be Marcus Mariota getting that start. And we saw Lamar Jackson. Almost was like a just a sigh of relief here, Adam, because we said we needed to see Lamar Jackson hopefully by Wednesday. It was limited. He was limited in practice. But it was really good because he injured that hamstring September 29th. And so they said, they being John Harbaugh, said he expected Jackson to resume working with the team after they returned from this bye. We saw that this team needs Lamar Jackson, Adam. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They need him because they have to go on a really strong run. And if we're looking at just the team total this week, it kind of implies that Vegas, all the books and everything are looking at, Lamar Jackson returning. They have a 28.5, I believe, team total this week. But you need to see the best from Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, everyone involved in this offense.
Yeah, they have another issue too. They play again on Thursday at Miami.
Oh boy.
So I wonder
No.
if they say, you know what,
Don't
let's
do
give them a
this.
few days. I agree with you. I look at the total of the team and the line, and they're favored by 6.5. So that would
Yeah.
indicate to me that he's playing. And at this point, too, like they need wins. They need to win both these games at home against the Bears and then at Miami on the 30th, which is a Thursday night game. So, yeah, this is a critical stretch here because, again, Baltimore has an opportunity still to get back in this thing if they get Lamar Jackson back and healthy in the schedule that lies ahead. They have a chance to make a run.
They do. Don't put that out there. What are you
What?
doing? Lamar's going to play.
I'm rolling out facts. That's it.
I'm giving everyone options. It's the Dolphins. We could put a chair out there. He could sit down and probably
That's
beat him.
true. Yeah. Like,
Why do we keep getting the Dolphins on prime time? Is this the last one?
I don't know, but
What do
hopefully we
do?
can
This
flex
feels like
them out.
the 5th game that we've seen them in prime time.
Yeah, it's not
Come
good.
on.
I mean, they are a horrendous watch at this point.
Horrible.
There's
But at least
sometimes there's bad teams. At least they're kind of entertaining. But oh no, wait, they have another
Stop.
overseas game, November 16th
I'm
at
sleeping
9:30
in.
a.m. against
There's
the
no way.
Commanders.
You should
Then
try
they
and
have
sleep in.
They have an ESPN game on December 15th. That can be flexed. And then they have a Sunday night game against the Bengals on the 21st. That'll be flexed out.
What did they expect this team to look like this year?
The December
they
games,
expect
I don't know. I think
them
look,
to be
most of us
good?
thought they were going to be bad
Yeah.
and that this thing was going to fall apart. I mean, there was a point where McDaniel was first coach to be fired. He was among the favorites, so I don't know. I don't know what the
That is just nuts. That's fine. I'm gonna write. Maybe I should write a letter, strongly worded letter to Goodell, or we should get him on the phone. Friend of the show, Roger Goodell, of course.
big, very close friend.
Yeah, very close friend. We're obviously, he listens every day. He does not, by the way. That is sarcastic. All right, we're going to continue on here. I want to talk about who's going to step up for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But again, Lamar Jackson was listed as limited in his return to practice yesterday. Jayden Daniels is out this week. We still have to watch out for some quarterback decisions. I don't know, Adam, maybe the Jets will make a decision, but they said it's a competitive advantage if the Bengals know who they're playing. So they're going to keep that under wraps. We're going to have to wait on that. I've got rankings risers and fallers here though. I want to talk about Jackson Dart going into this week, Kimani, Vidal, Zay Flowers being back, what our expectations should be. We're going to do all of that and more coming up here next. We have all the tools that you need. So does fantasylife.com. Make sure you head over there, download Kmet, an AI-powered browser that we have partnered with. It is absolutely amazing. Takes about 2 minutes, and then you can get Fantasy Life Plus for free for 1 whole year. So if you're driving in your car, just take a note of this. And if you're at home, you can download it now, but it's fantasylife.com/Kmet, Comet. And that is where you can go follow that 2 minute. There's like a 2 minute step-by-step guide with how to do that, you have to download the browser. And once you do, you get all of our Fantasy Life Plus tools, rankings, projections, everything for free for 1 year. So if you've been thinking about it, if you said, man, I really need to go and get Fantasy Life Plus, now is the time to do it, because this will be the best deal that we give out for the rest of the year. So make sure you take advantage. fantasylife.com/Kmet. Comet is where you want to go. We've got rankings, risers and fallers here, Adam. Should be, a pretty good week, I think, all things considered, with 6 teams on a bye. I'm excited about it. But one of the rankings risers, and one that could just end up becoming, has definitely done so far since he's gotten the start, has been Jaxson Dart, and someone that could really help your teams the rest of the way. I don't want to say waiver wire hero yet, but we are trending in that direction with Jaxson Dart. So he is one of those guys this week, especially. I see him. He's consensus QB 12 for us this week, even though it's going up against the Eagles. He's my QB 12 on the week, and then 13 is the highest that you're going to see him go, or the lowest, I should say, whatever. But he is one of those really good risers. He's averaged 22.6 fantasy points per game over his first 4 starts, and in that span, he is the number 2 quarterback in fantasy football. It's so crazy how times change, because before we said, wow, I can't, they're going to start Jaxson Dart. This is a really, really tough schedule coming up. You get to face the Eagles twice, you get the Broncos, but he's really held his own, which is good to see.
Yeah, if you picked him up and you've been playing him, it's been great. And you might have been hesitant last week in that Denver matchup, and he absolutely crushed it. And we've said, and all these running quarterbacks, they give you that high floor, and he's averaging 44.5 rushing yards per game, 3 rushing touchdowns. So, yeah, he's been great. I know we had success against Philly the first time. I think it will be a little tougher this week. Philly will be prepared for that. The game's in Philly. That one was a short week at home. Crowd was behind them. They were all pumped up, but I think it will be a little tougher this week. But yeah, he's you're probably starting him if you have him. You might have picked him up and had a top quarterback just to, see what he can do. But in a lot of instances, yeah, you're probably going to start him this week. And again, with that ability to run, it's going to give him a high floor every week.
Yeah, it's not a favor. It's still on paper not a favorable matchup, but we have to take into account what we've seen over the last 2 weeks with him. The Giants do have the second worst team total. Last time I checked, 18.3. Very low. So again, they're 7-point underdogs in this one as well. There's no doubt that Philadelphia is going to look for revenge, and we're going to talk about them here in a little bit. But they got, at least through the air, they got things going with their wide receivers, which was really, really nice to see. But it's really Jaxson Dart's legs and the rushing upside that he gives you, because again, he has been having really good, it's good enough. He's only averaged, though, 198 yards as a passer, but you look at what he gives you on the ground, and that's kind of why every single week it's hard to rank him outside the top 14, 15. You always have to keep him in there. Like after him, that's where we've got a lot of teams on a bye, but that's where I just said, okay, next is Jordan Love for me, then Joe Flacco, then Aaron Rodgers. It was hard. It was hard to even, if you even wanted to keep him outside the top 12, it was going to be really difficult this week. Michael Penix is my QB 16.
Yeah, I think it does get to a point where you can't put Dart any lower just because of his ability to run. And then after that, you just mentioned a couple of pocket quarterbacks that are just not going to do much on the ground, that are going to have to get it done through the air. And a couple of them have good matchups. But yeah, most weeks you're like, really? Flacco 14, Rodgers 15? What are we doing? But that's the nature of the week, and especially with some of the injuries to the quarterbacks.
Yeah, it is. I didn't love it, but that's just where we had to go this week. So yeah, Jaxson Dart, definitely a riser for us at fantasylife.com to go and see all of our rankings as well. Kimani Vidal. I've seen a ton of questions on Vidal after the week that he had last week, only 7.5 fantasy points. And again, I don't think I've thrown this out yet, but at Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis over there on X is where you want to go if you've got questions for us. We'll open up the phone lines here in a little bit. But do you think this is a week where Vidal is one that can turn things around? I think I have him as a low end RB2, because even though it's the Vikings defense, when you look deeper into those, into those stats there, Adam, with the Vikings, it's not too bad for the running backs. Now I'm going to say that, and next week we're going to have a whole different conversation. But 7.5 fantasy points from Vidal. He was still the clear lead guy, 65% snap share, 69% rush share, and you don't have Hassan Haskins, it looks like, this week. So what are your expectations for him?
It's with him, you just don't know. But at the same time, they are going to give him the bulk of the workload. I think last week you have to dismiss it because they fell behind so early. They were playing at a big deficit, and Herbert dropped back to pass 55 times. Now, I do think they're going to become more of a team that relies on the pass because why not? Look at all these
Yeah.
weapons that they have in the passing game, especially with the emergence of Gadsden. But yeah, I think if you have Vidal, you're playing him. He's like in the RB2 area, and we have seen a couple of running backs go off against Minnesota. So, I mean, for the most part, if you have him, you're playing him. Like,
Yeah.
unless you're in a real shallow league and you don't have great options, but he's got to be in that RB2 conversation because of the workload that he's going to get tonight.
It should be a good game tonight.
It
I'm
should
excited
be on
about that.
paper, yeah.
Should be on paper. Oronde, see, he can start things off. I mean, the last two weeks, he's been fantasy's tight end too. I know, small sample, but you really have to start paying attention. That's 17 targets for Oronde Gadsden. That's the one thing where they told us all about Gadsden and how much they liked him during training camp, during the preseason. Now all of a sudden, you're seeing it come on, and I think it was the most encouraging sign that we still saw Will Dissly out there. We still saw Tyler Conklin, but he's just been not only better than them, but featured more. So yeah, now you've got McConkey, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, all those guys back. I can see what you mean by, saying that they're going to go through the air a little bit more, but it's still good.
Yeah, Gadsden has 5 red zone targets too the last couple weeks. He's 75% route share the last 2 games. It's just can we expect this to continue with all of the weapons they have in the passing game? Either way, I did go out and spend a lot of money on him in a few
Oh,
leagues.
nice.
Yeah, I got him for nothing last week, and I was looking at him in a few leagues, and I was like, I should get him, and I was like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, I wish I would have because I had to spend a lot more money this week. But yeah, I'll be starting him tonight. I think a lot of people will. I just hope he doesn't let us down. But they clearly are
No.
high on him, and he's on the field a lot, and he has an opportunity to continue this. They've been looking for him consistently. He gets open. He makes big plays. He's explosive. So I think it's hard not to rank him as a top 10 tight end this week.
Yeah, that's where I have him. So hopefully you were able, like you said, to pick him up. Where do I have him this week? He is my tight end 7, actually.
Yeah, I have some leagues, and I think there will be a lot of leagues like this where you're flexing a tight end this week. And
I
I
am.
am.
I'm flexing Mason Taylor, which isn't
I
bad.
No, he's got
got a
a
great matchup
great
against
matchup. The
Cincy.
Bengals have been getting absolutely destroyed by tight ends. It's just who's throwing him the football?
It's sweet. I'm not paying attention to that. I'm just pretending that everything's going to go great on National Tight End Day. We have to make that parlay, by the way. We have to do that today. I think,
Tomorrow.
you don't want Gadsden?
I mean,
No.
again, it's National Tight End Day, which is
Oh,
Sunday.
okay. So you don't,
So
wow. So we're not going to have Kelsey either? He
probably
plays
not. I mean, we
Monday?
can if we want.
I mean, I don't know. The big question is George Kittle going to give us 0 fantasy points again?
I
I
would
think
say no. I would take the over on 0 or a half,
maybe
but
2, 3.
I mean, come on.
Can't get worse, right? Than double zeros in your return? Jeez,
Uh,
that is awful.
Nah, I think
Awful.
Kittle's gonna make it a point to tell them, like, hey,
Hey,
this
this
is
is
my
my
day.
holiday. Yeah.
I got 0 last week. I blocked the hell out of it for McCaffrey. It is my turn this week. Let's ease it
Please,
up on
please
McCaffrey.
feature me. Oh my goodness. Hey, last one here on the rankings risers, only because we haven't seen them. Baltimore again coming off their bye. Hopefully we get Lamar Jackson. Hopefully we get better practice news here today and that he's not limited. Zay Flowers, though, my wide receiver 12 coming into the week. And Lamar Jackson limited yesterday. I know that has to be put into this conversation. But Flowers has actually been pretty quiet without Lamar Jackson, but this is a really good spot in week 8 going up against the Bears. So that's why I wanted to just shout him out here, highlight him, and see what our expectations are. Because obviously we've talked about this before too. Touchdowns aren't necessarily Zay Flowers' thing. But he can win at these different levels of the field. He has a really good utilization score sitting at 72, leads the Ravens with a 30% target share. I just hope that this is a game for anyone that drafted Zay Flowers. I don't have much of him, Adam, actually, anywhere. I drafted him one time that was really early in the offseason, but that's about it. But you have to shout him out for wide receiver 12 ranking and consensus at Fantasy Life, wide receiver 11 this week.
Yeah, I was out on Flowers, and a lot of it had to do with number one, the lack of touchdowns. He would need to score on long plays. He only has 2 red zone targets this year. And just because, the way they operated the offense, they kind of spread the ball around. But I've been wrong on that part. Like, the targets have been there for
Yeah.
him. Now, also part of it is just the way we envision the Ravens offense has been completely different. Their defense has been so bad. They've had to pass a lot. They've been playing in these high scoring games. Outside of without Lamar Jackson, it's been different. And Flowers has held his own. If you look at the last two
Yeah.
games, 6 for 46, 5 for 72. Again, not great, but how many times do we see these receivers when their quarterback goes down that they give you nothing? So at least he's been someone that can contribute. And with Lamar Jackson back in this matchup, it could really help him because those first 2 weeks he had some really good numbers, but yeah, the lack of touchdowns ultimately I think is what kind of holds him back from being like a top tier receiver. But
Yeah.
if Jackson does return to play the rest of the year, Flowers is going to wind up being a good value at his ADP.
Yeah, I just didn't. Yeah, I'm with you. He just wasn't a name that ever popped to me when I was drafting. And obviously, things can change the rest of the way, but it's not bad. You just really have to hope that you get Lamar back this week because I don't want to do another preview of and it's no offense to one Cooper Rush or anything like that, but we deserve a little bit more. So that's what you have to look at going forward. And same with Derrick Henry here. I mean, I Derrick Henry is facing a Bears defense that after their week 5 bye, has been pretty good against the run. But if you look at them overall, it's still not an amazing kind of output that they've been giving. They're giving up the third most yards per attempt, seventh most rushing yards over expected per attempt, and the 12th most explosive runs. That's overall in the season. So you also have to think that Derrick Henry, of course, if you have him, you're playing him. You don't need us to tell you that, but this is just a really good week for them to get back on track. They absolutely need it.
Yeah, and especially coming off the bye too, right? A little
Yeah.
extra rest. But yeah, you got to figure that they're going to feed Henry a lot in this game. The last game we saw him, he had 24 carries for 122 yards. Obviously, Lamar Jackson back. If that happens, that makes things easier for him because you have to account for Lamar Jackson and his ability to do things with the ball on the ground. So yeah, this should be a big Derrick Henry week.
I like it. All right, we're going to continue on here. Want to mention a few more risers here and the biggest questions that we have going into week 8. Can the Browns defense slow down Drake May? We're going to look at the Eagles and they're building on a strong passing performance here. We're going to do that and more coming up next. This is Fantasy Life right here. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us here on this Thursday. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you, breaking down everything you need to know for week 8 for Thursday night football as well. FantasyLife.com. All of the articles that you hear us talking about, referencing, they are there and 100% free. And as always, we're trying to get through as many questions as we can at KValenzuela17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. I saw one from Johnny here. Said, good morning. Quick question. Is it finally time to just cut ties with Caleb Johnson and get Monangai, who's been sitting out there surprisingly? Thanks.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I can't believe you held on to Caleb Johnson this long.
I know. It's not happening. What's the term? You don't make fetch happen. Have you seen Mean Girls? No, of course you
No.
haven't. What am I doing?
No.
Adam, it's a good movie. All right. You need to get into the Disney movies and some of the, come on. It's
All
a good
right.
movie.
Well,
Anyway.
one day, maybe like in 10,
That's
15 years.
10, 15. Right. I'll set a calendar reminder and see how you're doing with those. Yeah, Caleb Johnson does not need to be rostered anywhere in any format, big or small. He's out there on waivers where we had 20 round drafts. It's just
Yeah.
there's no reason. If he's out there for us, he definitely should just be out there for everyone else. Kyle Monangai too is just one where after that bye week, I mean, DeAndre Swift is leading the way. There's no question about it that the Bears have upgraded their rushing attack, but you still like what you've seen. DeAndre Swift has produced back-to-back games with at least 20 fantasy points and 100 yards rushing. But we know in the back of our minds when we talk about Kyle Monangai and Ben Johnson and what we saw with him before in Detroit, there's a little bit of that like, okay, could this turn into a David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs situation? Obviously, the talent level is not up to Sonic and Knuckles over there, but Kyle Monangai is getting touches and the door is opening. And we have to remember that DeAndre Swift went into that game a little bit banged up too. He was a little bit questionable, I think, early in the week. But again, Kyle Monangai should be rostered, and he's someone that we've said for a long time, and now he's starting to get a few more touches. So the door's opening there. So yes. And just, yeah, get rid of Caleb Johnson.
Yeah, I think the biggest concern with Swift is the health because he has been on the injury report the last few weeks with a groin injury. Now, he has played and has been very productive with back-to-back 100-yard games. He did not practice yesterday with a groin injury, but again, Wednesday, I don't care. A lot of veterans are going to get the day off. They're banged up. So not a concern yet. Again, last week I think it was just they ran the ball very effectively. People will look
Yeah.
at Monangai's number like, oh, he's cutting into Swift. Swift still had 20 touches. I mean, how many touches do you want from your running back? He's not going to get 30. So, but yes, as someone who, I mean, he should have been on rosters weeks ago. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think he was. He might have been available in some leagues, and just in case something happens to Swift, you want to have a piece of this running game. It looks like it's starting to click. Offensive line has been playing better, so
Mhm.
yeah, it looks good there for that run game.
Well, and it's just there's been an uptick in the team's rushing volume and Odunze. I mean, we talked about Odunze yesterday, but I still personally think he is a buy low candidate after the last 2 weeks. But man, that's really gone down. He's only seen 5 targets per game over the last two, and we have to compare that. The first four, he was getting 8.8 targets on average. So that's really gone down. Again, last week, they didn't need to do much with Caleb through the air to win that game. That's why you just referenced it. You just said it. That's why we saw a little bit more Kyle Monangai, but he hasn't produced more than 6 points in back-to-back weeks. Talking about Roma Dunse, so I'm keeping an eye on this and just hoping that this is the week again where we see them. They're going up against Baltimore, then they've got Cincy, then they've got the Giants. So when we look at Swift, that puts him. I mean, he is fringe low end RB1 range in that situation.
Yeah, and I do think it'll get better for Odunze. Again, 2 weeks ago, he should have had a touchdown. It was nullified by, I think it was illegal formation. He made a great
Mhm.
play in the end zone. If he makes that play, then we're not looking at it. We're looking at things a little bit differently. But, I expect the volume to be back there. I mean, this is a game that they probably will definitely pass more, assuming Lamar Jackson plays again. They're 6.5 point dogs. So the Ravens could put up some points that'll put the Bears in situations where they have to pass more and will help Odunze put up better stats this week.
Another question I see from Sam that does lead into a bigger conversation for biggest week 8 questions is should I start Tez Johnson, Oronde Gadsden, or Alvin Kamara this week in my 12-team PPR league? I lean towards Kamara, but I think that's a bigger conversation here, Adam, of what we expect with his workload now that Kendre Miller is out of the picture. Because that's disappointing because we said every single week since week 1 to go pick up Kendre Miller, and unfortunately, he is out for the rest of the season with the ACL injury, so he's not going to be back. Devin Neal could be a guy that steps up, but I don't think it's right away, and I don't think he gets close to the workload yet. What are your expectations with Kamara? And do you like Kamara, or are you going to start Gadsden?
I don't. I mean, look, I get it. It's all volume based on him right now because we did see Kendre Miller cutting into him. So I think in the immediate, you probably will see Kamara with bigger workloads. I do think you'll see Neal at some point. I did put in bids for him in every single league I was in. I think I
Mhm.
got him in a couple. I was just kind of unsure like how much he would go for it. Like I've said with Fab, it's crazy. Like some leagues he went for money, others he was cheap. Same thing with Gadsden. Like I got him for like over 20%, and I was like, damn, I bid too high. And then I went in another league that I was in, and he went for even more than I
Wow.
put in. So,
Yeah.
and then one in the league, there was even no runner up. I'm like, what? So it's crazy with Fab. But yeah, I think Kamara has not looked good this year at all. Now, he did play 84% of the snaps last week, and he had 14 touches, 29 total yards, though. So he's just not explosive anymore. He's not breaking tackles. He hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1. I really don't love him. I mean, the only argument for him is volume. So I don't know. I mean, I guess when you do rankings, you're going to rank him high based on the volume, but I don't like him.
I had to this week because Kendre Miller isn't out there. I do agree that maybe Devin Neal eventually is going to be out there and taking on that same role, but for me, I have him RB 19, Alvin Kamara this week. So again, it's in the fringe range, and he's consensus RB 18 for us at fantasylife.com. But I just think that when they see Miller not out there with Kamara's workload, like last week, the targets started flowing back to Juwan Johnson. He was someone we talked about earlier in the week where Juwan Johnson got a little bit more because of Miller's injury, I want to say, and it's a trend that we saw over the first few games as well. So Dwayne McFarland broke it down historically with the utilization score that Kamara has. You're not getting, and this is the thing, you're not getting vintage Alvin Kamara anymore. We just have to lower our expectations. But with 34 historical comparisons, they have averaged 14.7 fantasy points. 94% of them finished inside the top 24 running backs. So again, you are lowering expectations. It is not the same guy that you were going out to get, but 14.7 points per game is better than he's been averaging 10.8. So it's a little bit better. by a little.
I don't think we're getting much from him. He's not the same player anymore. This is all name value at this point. I mean, if you watch him play and look at the numbers, this is not even close to what we're
No,
used
he's
to.
not getting any receiving work.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it started to pick up again. We saw 2 weeks in a row against the Giants and the Patriots, 4 for 28, 5 for 45. And then this past week, 3 targets and 3 receptions for 1 yard. Like, he's doing nothing with his touches. I mean, he's averaging 3.6 yards per carry. I mean, he's had 31 rushing yards or fewer. That's in 3 straight games. And I think that's why they were starting to go to Kendra Miller, because Miller was looking better. So, yeah, I know the volume's going up, but I still don't feel good about Kamara. I think he's kind of done.
Ugh, isn't it sad? What if he gets traded?
It happens to everyone. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to get better. I mean,
well, he's not. I don't think he's getting traded at all. He'll go.
He already said he doesn't want to. Yeah.
Maybe we'll get the invite. That'd be nice. Sounds amazing.
But yeah, I don't think it's going to get much better for him.
All right. A shout out though to Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. I mean, for what we've seen from this Saints team, I know that Ian wrote about it today in the 10 things to know for week 8. But yeah, Spencer Rattler among 34 quarterbacks with 100 plus dropbacks. It's not awful stats. The passing grade, the completion rate over expected. It's not great. It's not amazing all the time, but it's just, a little bit of a shout out there. And Olave looks good. So you're happy.
That's the biggest part, because I think last week in the first half, like, it looked like Olave was going to do nothing, and then he just exploded for that long touchdown pass, and then had another long play. And that's the one thing too with Olave, is you're starting to see him get some deep shots. Like, everything was short, and it was like 8 for 54 and 7 for 51, and you're like, come on. And the last 2 weeks, we've started to see him go downfield to Olave now, which has led to bigger games.
Quarterback streamers, we're going to give you some names that you might want to go and pick up for week 8. Also continuing to answer your questions and going through the biggest questions heading into week 8. We're going to do that here coming up next. Fantasy Life right here on this Thursday morning. Hopefully you guys are having a great start to your day. We're going through quarterback streamers here, Adam. Some quarterbacks that you can maybe go and pick up if they're still out there on waivers. And some guys that we expect to just do a little bit better going into week 8. Starting, I think the top guy, right, has to be Joe Flacco. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's when I wrote this article up, he was only 12% rostered. I'm sure after the waiver wire run yesterday and today, it's a little bit different, but he has averaged 22.37 fantasy points per game since joining the Bengals. And that is because he has guys like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I got asked if we believe that Joe Flacco's the real deal. And I came back with the answer of, I don't think we believe that Joe Flacco's turning back time, but when you have the weapons that he does, he really can just say, well, Jamar Chase is down there somewhere. And we saw it in that Thursday night game. So that's what makes him a good streamer going into this weekend. The Jets allow an average of 18.3 fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. So again, it's not going to be the icy hot bowl every single week, but this is a really good spot for him.
Yeah, Jets also not generating a lot of pressure. So that's always the key. If he has some time, he doesn't even need a lot of time too.
No.
Just a couple seconds to get the ball out, look for Chase, look for Higgins. So, yeah, he's definitely one of the best streamers this week, and he was picked up in a lot of leagues over the last 2 days. Whether you're searching for a single quarterback because your starter is on bye, or I think I'm in a couple in Superflex leagues he was already rostered. I think people just held on to him. It felt like, because I did not see him available in Superflex leagues.
I'm in a tough spot so I was trying to pick up Joe Flacco in our league, our GST league, because I still have Jalen Hurts. But when you're looking ahead, Jalen Hurts has a bye in 2 weeks. You know who my backup is?
Who?
JJ McCarthy.
Will he be playing by then?
We might see him next week, but do I want to do that, really? I want to subject myself to trying to hope that JJ McCarthy gets me fantasy points in his first game back? I don't know if I want to do that. So just pay attention there. Marcus Mariota, is he up there for you? He's only, last time I checked, and again, this is going to be different going into today, but he was about 6% rostered, and we know now that Jayden Daniels is going to be out. This is a tough spot, though, because it's the Monday night game, and it really, to me, when I try and recommend, quarterback streamers, you want to know if he's going to have his full cast of weapons, and we don't know that yet with Deebo Samuel, with Terry McLaurin, but I still think he's an okay option. Kansas City, though, tougher defensive matchup than, one Joe Flacco. Even Spencer Rattler has a little bit of a better go at it this week.
Yeah, that's the problem with Mariota is the matchup here in Kansas City, and also what are they going to have at wide receiver? Obviously, it would be you'd feel way better if Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin played, but can we count on that? The one thing is Kansas City has struggled to defend rushing quarterbacks. They've allowed Herbert 32 yards, Russell Wilson at 27, Lamar Jackson at 48, Trevor Lawrence, who hasn't even really run much this year, at 54.
Oh,
So
wow.
we know Mariota can get it done on the ground. So if he can get you 30, 40 yards on the ground and then somehow figure out a way to get a touchdown or maybe even two touchdowns, they'll be playing from behind. But if he's without those veteran receivers, man, it's tough
No,
because
it's
like
really
everyone was
difficult.
excited for those receivers against Dallas, and they didn't do anything. Now Dallas did change their defense; they went from mostly zone to man. It obviously worked. They'll probably continue that since it did work. But against those receivers, a little easier to defend, and also Jayden Daniels was carving them up. He was on pace to
Yeah.
have a really good game before he got hurt. So yeah, I mean, look, Mariota, I think, is below the Flacco, Aaron Rodgers, but
Oh,
I
for
think
sure.
he's top 20 this week.
I don't hate Spencer Rattler either. This is a format where if you're looking around and you need a streamer, he's not a superstar, but the Tampa Bay defense has been allowing 229 passing yards per game, which is 21st in the NFL, 5.4 yards per play. He's only averaged 13.64 fantasy points per game this year, but he could be another good option as well. Time for that water cooler. We're talking with Matthew Berry, taking your phone calls here. Coming up next. It is about that time. Time for the Fantasy Life Water Cooler right here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you, breaking down the biggest pieces of news that you need to know before heading into Week 8, before setting those lineups for Thursday Night Football tonight. We're going to be joined by Matthew Berry here in a little bit as well. Get his takes on Week 8, get his rankings updates as well. As always, though, fantasylife.com, the direction I want to point you in. If you've been thinking about Fantasy Life Plus and getting it, now is the time to do so because you can get it 100% free when you go to fantasylife.com/comet, COMET. That is where you go. You download the AI powered browser on your laptop, on, the home computer, whatever you got. Go and download it. It takes about 2 minutes. There's a step-by-step guide there. And once you do that, you have access to all of our projections, our rankings, our tools. This is the time. This is the best deal that we're going to have for the rest of the year and the rest of the season as well. So fantasylife.com/comet, COMET is where you go. You can get Fantasy Life Plus 100% free. Before we talk to Matthew here, Adam, just going through a little bit of the news that we saw yesterday, making sure everyone is kept up to date. Again, Jayden Daniels has been ruled out going up against the Chiefs. It will be Marcus Mariota in that game. That is Monday night. So if you're picking him up, and if you're a little bit worried about whether Deebo Samuel's going to go, Terry McLaurin, you'll have to wait a little bit longer. And of course, Mike Evans has been placed on injured reserve after suffering that broken collarbone. We knew that was coming. They're hoping that maybe he returns later in the year. But for us, it's a tough go. And then Lamar Jackson was limited in his return to practice yesterday. So we're watching out for him. And Brock Purdy was also limited. When are we going to see Brock Purdy again? But Ricky Pearsall missed another practice there as well. And then the other one that I wanted to mention was that AJ Brown missed yesterday's practice with a hamstring injury. So we'll have to pay more attention to the Thursday, Friday reports. But yeah, that was it. All the injuries that we can talk about. It's just crazy.
We cannot have AJ Brown miss this week. Hopefully,
Stop.
this was just a veteran rest day, and he's back out there today because that would be a problem. Losing another receiver, we talked about how the receiver position to me has been hit the hardest when it comes to
Yeah.
injuries, where it's just very difficult. That's why you see so many receivers go early in drafts because there are very few that command the target share at the top, and all those guys go early. It's you can find running backs off the waiver wire that step into big roles due to an injury. I mean, Rico
Mhm.
Dowdle was an example, although he was drafted in all our leagues. But for the more shallow formats, it's receivers you just don't see that receivers that make a big impact off the waiver wire.
This is why, I mean, so another receiver. So Christian Watson was limited in practice, but plans to return Sunday night. Another one that we're watching though is Garrett Wilson. He still remained out of practice for the Jets. I mean, there's a lot up in the air this week, and I'll just say this: going through because we always go through the injury updates and guys that you can go get. I still like Alec Pierce this week as a potential flex option if you need him. Again, we talked about him earlier in the week. He had 31% of the targets, 71% of the air yards in that game, going up against who was that? I was at that game. Oh, it was the Chargers.
Chargers, yeah. You forgot
Duh.
already? Jeez, it was only
Yeah,
a few days ago.
jeez.
You
It's
okay?
Adam, it's been the longest week of my life. I can't get it. I can't get over it. 24.4 ADOT though is the other part of it. So if you've got Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin, if we don't get better updates or, something that says they're trending in the right direction, same with Garrett Wilson, I think Alec Pierce is a really good pickup still this week.
Yeah, it's a really good matchup for him, and he could get it done on one pass as well.
Yeah.
The Titans struggle against outside receivers, and this is a week where you are in deeper formats looking for someone to get in your lineup. The concern is obviously the spread and
Hmm.
Colts dominating this like they did the first time around. Jonathan Taylor had 3 rushing touchdowns in that game, but again, it could be early in the game, and he can get you 3 catches for 70, 80 yards because they are taking shots to him deep. So, yeah, I do think he's in that wide receiver 3 area this week.
Yeah, it's I think it's a good spot for him to be in. Again, it's not every single time, but you did like what you saw last week, and he's got that role. Whenever you start to see Daniel Jones kind of load up, you know that he's going to Alec Pierce downfield because that's the only like really lone deep threat that they have. So you know that Pittman Jr., Tyler Warren, Josh Downs, they're going to get those short targets, but he's going to be the one that you look for. So are you picking up Christian? Well, I know you're not. You're done with Christian Watson. You think that muddies the wide receiver room even more, or do you think it's going to take a little bit of time? He said he does plan to play or return, I should say, not play necessarily, but to return Sunday night. My goal and plan is to be out there this week, is what he said. Again, he remained limited in Wednesday's practice, but does that just make things even worse for any of the wide receivers, Doubs, Matthew Golden, going into week 8?
Maybe not this week because, again, my expectation is he's probably limited to maybe a handful of plays. And I think you want to see him on the field first. But, I mean, we already are in a situation when they have, even before Watson coming back, where it's tough to rely on any of these receivers. Now, we mentioned Romeo Doubs has been, getting that more of a target share recently and has been, top 30, 35 receiver now in some of the recent weeks. And one game was based on the 3 touchdowns, the Dallas game. So you
Yeah,
feel okay about him. Golden, you would like to see him involve more. It's just,
no kidding.
it's not happening for him. So they've said, and you got Tucker Kraft. So they
Yeah.
have said this before that LaFleur said, yeah, we're not gonna focus on any one receiver, and that's what they continue to
And
do.
he was telling the truth. No lies detected there. I will say, and it's so disappointing because Matthew Golden actually has a good matchup this week.
Yeah, the
If
Steelers
I
have
mean,
really struggled
they
to
have,
cover
and
receivers.
so the his role really, when you look at it, again, a buy heavy week, so maybe the more shallow formats he's out there, but he has been there. His role in the Packers has been the primary slot receiver. So in the 2 games since their week 5 bye, he has run 53% of his routes out of the slot, played at least 70% of the offensive snaps in each game. When you look at the Steelers on the other side, they've given up the 7th most fantasy points per game to slot receivers. So, how many times have I said maybe this is the week? I'm not going to say it again, Adam, because I just can't keep getting let down by Matthew Golden. But it is a highlight, at least, of a matchup where if you're having to play him, this is at least a good spot for him in week 8.
You're probably playing both of them again with all of the injuries at wide receiver and 6 teams on bye. If you have them, they're most likely in your lineup. I know we get screenshots and questions where people have loaded teams. So in those situations, obviously it's a little different. But the lack of quality receivers this week, like Dobbs has got to be ranked in the top
Oh
30 this
yeah.
week,
Oh,
and
he
Golden not far
definitely is.
behind.
He definitely is for me. It's been really nice. He's been the top wide receiver through 7 games. He's averaging 13. This is Dobbs, by the way, 13.1 points per game, and he's had a near full-time role since week 3. And you really like that. Mid-range wide receiver 3. That's where he is in my rankings this week. But if you look at the Xfinity best ceiling projection for him, 18.9 fantasy points in the best case. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, and again, a matchup here against a Pittsburgh defense that has not been what we're accustomed to. I mean,
Yeah.
they've just been getting carved up. So, total's only 44 and a half of that
Oh,
game.
really?
Yeah, it's a little
That's not
weird.
fun. Why? They don't want fantasy points? What are they doing?
I think we'll see points in that game.
All right. Well, we're going to open up the phone lines here. We're going to get Matthew Berry in a little bit, but we're going to start answering some questions. 888-963-2682 is the phone number to call in, or you can press that new call in button on the Sirius XM app. You can also find us at Valenzuela17 at Adam Ronis over there on X. So I see some questions coming in. We are absolutely going to get to as many as we can. I believe that was all the injury updates that I've seen here, Adam. I know that Cole Kmet wasn't out there for the Bears yesterday with that back injury, so that's something. Hey Tim, I think your mic's on there. But we are going to continue on. Anything else? I didn't miss anything. Garrett Wilson, no, we're good. I need Garrett Wilson out there in the worst way. I'm going to be totally honest with you.
I do too, but remember, they have a bye next week. So
you think he sits?
My guess is yes. I hope he gets out there, but yeah. I mean, today and tomorrow will really tell the story. But
we can't have nice things. It's fine.
And
how
look,
about this?
Garrett Wilson being out just affects this offense. I mean, they can't move the football without him, no matter who the quarterback is. They really need him out there.
Well, and it tells you a lot when we're not featuring any big wide receivers in this team to step up. We're featuring Mason Taylor as the guy that can maybe get more targets because of it. I mean, that just blows my mind.
At least for this week, will you feel better about that because of the matchup? And Breece Hall, I'm assuming, should be good to go too. So that will help. And it is the Bengals defense. So maybe we see, I mean, it can't be as bad as it has been the last 2 weeks.
Do you want to say that really?
It's the Bengals, though. Come on. They can at least move the football on the Bengals.
I know, but I'm just saying, when we say that, usually the universe does show us that things can get worse. How about this question? What's wrong with Saquon Barkley, and can it get worse from there? That's a big one. And Saquon Barkley has been the RB18 through 7 weeks and hasn't produced one top 5 running back weekly finish this year. What we've seen from Saquon Barkley is just so far off and unfortunate from what we saw last season. But it's not the same question as Alvin Kamara, but it is the question of, is this just what we should expect with him this year, Adam? And I think that's where people are at. If you have him, obviously you're starting him because it's Saquon Barkley. But you just have he's been held under 60 rushing yards in each of his last 5 games. That's not the Saquon Barkley we know. I did see a stat that said starting in week 12, the Eagles have the second best schedule for running backs, but we're in week 8. We're weeks away from week 12. So is this the Saquon Barkley we should expect the rest of the way?
That's a tough question because the offensive line has really been the big issue for them. Now, he had actually an efficient game against the Giants. 12 carries, 58 yards. They had 2 carries to start the game for 31 yards. I don't know what happened afterwards and why they didn't really commit to him more. But if you see, there's just nothing there. As soon as he's getting the football, he's getting hit. So the offensive line has not even been close to what it was last year. That's a big factor. But yeah, we have not seen one game this year where Barkley even had 100 yards from scrimmage, which is insane. We all knew, again, a lot of people were backing off Barkley this year. In years past, if you just showed someone Saquon Barkley's numbers from last year and said, where does he go in fantasy drafts next year? You would have said 1 without question.
Oh, yeah.
He was not going 1 in any draft that I saw. He was often going 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's where I had him in that range. So I didn't get him. I was very worried about the touches. You just look at the history of running backs that got the volume that he did, and he's a little bit older. Not an old back, but a little older, coming off a Super Bowl run, played, into February. History shows those players tend to struggle the next year, whether it's injury or ineffectiveness. It's not been injury with him, but he has not been effective at all. So I think a lot of people did see this coming. It's not like a complete shock. To the level.
I was going to say this level.
To this level, shocking. I think it has been surprising. Even if you were like the biggest detractor of Saquon Barkley, you didn't envision this.
No.
It's been really bad. 3.3 yards per carry.
Yes.
We've seen like no explosive runs. Oh my, I didn't even realize this. Do you know what his longest rush is this year?
Oh, it has to be nothing.
18.
I was going to say 20.
And I remember playing his longest rush almost every game last year. And, I don't even remember, was it 18 and a half, 19 and a half, something like that? You look at last year, it was just every game he was breaking a
Yeah.
30 or I mean, he had, look at it, longest runs last year: 34, 65, 59, 55, 39, 72, 25, 22, 68, 23. He doesn't even come close to that this year. So, yeah, it's been completely different. He went from 5.8 yards per carry to 3.3.
It really is mind-blowing, and again, you're in a situation where it's disappointing, but at this point,
Like, you can't bench him. That's the problem.
no. At
Like,
some
there's
point,
no
though,
way you have better options.
no, but at some point, do you look at how awful it's been for him and say maybe there's going to be regression in the other direction because it can't get worse? I mean, you said this stat, and it is still insane to me. Of the 24 running backs who have at least 75 carries so far this season, Saquon Barkley ranks dead last in yards per carry with the 3.3 that you just said. And then he averaged 5.8 yards per carry last season. So it's just, last year ran for 125.3 yards per game. This year, he's running for 52.7 yards per game. And you said it, a lot of this is also an offensive line conversation, and we get that. But at some point, Adam, I'm looking at this saying, well, it has to, the trend has to change, right? The regression has to go in the positive way. But maybe it doesn't. Maybe this is just the Barkley we have. But to see Barkley on pace to run for only 896 yards in 17 games, instead of the, obviously last year was huge, 2,005 yards. That was in 16. It's just, you shake your head. There's not much you can do about it because you said it. You still have to start him.
The thing is, I want to see him more involved in the passing game, and we were getting that for a couple weeks in a row because I was playing his receiving yards prop both those weeks against Tampa and Denver, and it cashed easily. I don't think I played it against the Giants. No, I didn't that night. I didn't. That's not one of the props I had. But he only had 2 catches for 9 yards against the Giants, and then last week 1 catch for -2. So it's like if you're not gonna get him involved in the ground game because the offensive line isn't blocking, like you would want to utilize him in the passing game a little bit more. And
you would think
we haven't even really. Well, the last couple of weeks it's died down. He did have a stretch where he had at least 3 receptions in 4 of the first 5 games, and then just 3 on 4 targets the last 2 games.
Yeah, it's just been absolutely brutal. But let's see if things can change this week, and we cross our fingers and hope. Out to the phone lines is where we're going now. Again, 888-963-2682 is the phone number to call in. Let's go out to Ricky in Scottsdale. Oh, nice, Scottsdale. Ricky, what do you got for us?
Good morning, guys. Thanks for taking our call. Said it quick for nothing. Feel my tight end. I have Kittle in one leg and then McBride in another. Do I need to chase? And I got Gadsden. And let Josh play Gadsden to get Kittle, or just stick with Kittle and focus on Deebo, Garrett Wilson, and Travis Hunter down the road.
Okay, appreciate you calling in, Ricky. Did you get that, Adam?
I barely heard him.
I hope you were taking
Kittle
notes.
Yeah.
I believe I see the question on here, and it looks like that he has Kittle, and it was a start-sit question of, rolling with him, picking up Gadsden going into this week. Again, Gadsden is tonight, so anyone that has Gadsden questions, you're going to have to figure this out sooner rather than later. I do have Kittle ranked higher this week, but I don't love it because what if we see exactly what we saw last week where he is just their blocking tight end, not getting any work done? That's the only pause that I have there with him, but he is higher for me because it's a name thing, and it's the production that we could get from him because this team is so banged up. You figured that they would feature him in the passing game, but that wasn't the case last week. I would still go Kittle though.
Yeah, I would go Kittle too. I mean, again, Gadsden has been great the last couple weeks, and he could easily put up another good game tonight. But I would expect Kittle to get more involved in the offense this week. Texans are tough against receivers too, so
yeah,
they are a good defense, and at some point they're going to have to go to Kittle, right? We figured this is a good spot that he would be featured with all the injuries they have. I know the Texans have been good against tight ends, but they really haven't faced anyone good. I mean, just look at this. Look at his list of tight ends. I'm not fearful. The Rams, then Kate Otten when, Kate Otten's good now because no Evans, no Godwin. They need him. Brenton Strange, who actually had 6 for 61 against them. Gunnar Helm and Okonkwo. Mark Andrews, and Elijah Arroyo, who had 4 for 42.
Fair.
So
come on, Kittle. Get out there.
That's the thing. So be careful because you might see people say, oh, Houston gives up the 5th fewest fantasy points to tight ends. So yeah, look who they face. So,
always look at who they've played.
And again, if you like narratives, National Tight End Day Sunday.
There we go.
That's George
He's
Kittle.
He's going to be on our list.
3 touchdowns, George Kittle.
Ooh, Ooh, all right, book it. I like that. Let's go one more here. Let's go out to Alan in Green Bay. Alan, what do you got for us?
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I got Stafford and Daniels on my team. I'm just wondering which one of these guys would be worthy of picking up. I know there's Rodgers, Penix, Dalton, and Wentz that are available.
Andy Dalton, and then Carson. I would go actually Aaron Rodgers here.
Yeah. Me too.
He's my highest ranked especially between Rodgers and Penix. It's a little bit closer between those two more specifically. I'm not loving Andy Dalton. I'm not loving Carson Wentz there. So yeah, I would go again, Penix, and to me, Adam, Penix and Rodgers are close, but I do have Rodgers one spot higher.
Well, I guess Penix might, but they're going to just run the hell out of the ball. I mean, that's going to be Bijan and Algier all day. So I don't think you need Penix to do much. And then, you like narratives, Rodgers facing Green Bay.
There we go. All right, we're going to be talking with Matthew Berry here. We're going to give him a call. Continue going through Week 8 rankings and questions coming up next. Fantasy Life right here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, talking with the one and only Matthew Berry right now, getting us ready for all things Week 8. Matthew, welcome in. How you doing today?
Kendall, I'm well, thank you, my friend. How are you? How are you recovering as a Mariners fan?
It's
talk about
fine.
It yet?
No, not yet. But thank you so much I did this to you last week. I brought up, your Commanders, so I see you repaying the favor, and I understand. No, I have not been able to talk about it. It's been the longest week of my life, but it's fine. We get through it, Matthew, and we can get through it by you telling us all good things about maybe one Tez Johnson, Cade Otton. Where do you want to go in this Buccaneers offense? Obviously, we know it's going to be, a big Emeka Egbuka, maybe rest of season here, but is there anyone between Tez Johnson, any of the other, Johnson receivers or Cade Otton that you like stepping up with Mike Evans' absence?
Kind of like both of them, right? Let's start with Cade Otton. Over the last 2 years, Cade Otton, in games in which Mike Evans has missed, has a north of 20% target share. I believe it's 22% off the top of my head. And he's averaging almost 15 fantasy points a game when he gets a target share north of 20%. And so, in the world that we live in, Kendall, with 6 teams on a bye and, so many tight ends being touchdown dependent, I think Cade Otton is a very viable streamer this week as the Buccaneers offense. I think they'll be better. The tough game last week against Detroit, obviously, but, Baker is too good. This offense is rolling too well. I think they will get back on track against the Saints this week. And then specifically to Tez Johnson, they clearly need a deep threat opposite. Emeka Egbuka can obviously do that, but this is a team. Baker Mayfield is one of the guys in the NFL that likes to throw it deep. His average depth of target is among the league leaders. And so Tez Johnson, I think of all the guys there, you'll have Sterling Shepard in the slot, but I do think Tez Johnson is a very kind of a viable wide receiver 3 with, long touchdown play equity potential every single week.
We were just having a conversation about Saquon Barkley and his struggles this year. What have you seen from him? And do you think, obviously it can't get much worse, but do you have optimism that maybe it gets better here the rest of the way?
Yeah, I don't think – yes. Do I think it gets better? I think it gets a little bit better. And the reason, Adam, is because what teams have done so far this year, it's twofold. Number one is what teams have done so far this year is they say, we're going to make somebody other than Saquon Barkley beat us. So they've loaded the box. And one of the concerns about Saquon Barkley, honestly, in both years, so last year I was wrong on that, this year I was right, but the concern I had about Saquon Barkley in the beginning of the year for each of the last 2 seasons was this. I'm like, look, he's an insanely talented player, but it's a team where he's going to get vultured at the goal line by Jalen Hurts in the tush push. Jalen Hurts has traditionally not been a guy that dumps off to the running back all that much. So you're telling me Saquon Barkley's not getting goal line work, or at least has significant competition for goal line work, and he's not going to be involved in the passing game. So the way that this only pays off is if he breaks off these long, crazy runs. Well, last year he did, obviously, and he just had an unbelievable season. But this year he hasn't. So I sort of doubled down on the, obviously there was a wrong call by me last year, but this year I doubled down. I just said I just don't know how sustainable those long runs are. And so far this year, I've been right on Saquon because I had him lower than consensus in my preseason rankings. All that said, Adam, the fact that the Eagles' passing game has started to show some signs of life. It wasn't working. They lost 2 in a row, and I thought the game last week against Minnesota was sort of a statement game where we just let's find out what this Eagles team really is about. And they came out, and I thought Jalen Hurts played as good a game as I've ever seen him. And he was brilliant, and the passing game got going. And so I think now that's going to start opening things up for Saquon Barkley at home this week against the Giants in a revenge game. So I think bringing it all the way back to your question here, Adam, I think there's reasons for optimism. But more importantly, I don't know that in our world, for our purposes, that there's anything you can do other than to keep starting him. Because I don't think you're selling him. I don't think you're trying to trade him at market value, which is, at the moment, kind of a mid to low end RB2. There's just too much upside. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't know who you're getting that has more upside down the stretch than Saquon Barkley. So I think, unfortunately, you're just sort of stuck, and you just kind of hope it gets better. But I believe it will, because it'll start opening things up as the passing game continues to emerge.
Talking with, again, the one and only Matthew Berry here, Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Matthew, going over to the Chiefs, who look like they're just going to walk back into a Super Bowl. They've got Rashee Rice back, but my question is more towards Patrick Mahomes, and he's been rewarding any managers that drafted him this season. Right now, he leads all quarterbacks in fantasy points per game at 24.71. He's your QB1 going into Week 8. I mean, is this going to be sustained? He's got all his weapons back. How can we not look at this and say, yeah, he's going to be able to continue putting up these fantasy points?
It is going to be sustained, Kendall, and I'll tell you, there's a couple of reasons why. Number one is, obviously, you mentioned all the weapons. I also think that, unlike previous years, their defense isn't nearly as good as it used to be. Like, it used to be that just Mahomes didn't have to kind of throw a ton in the last 2 years or whatever, because their defense was so good and they were able to run the ball effectively. Well, this year they're not that good a running team. Pacheco and Hunt, they're getting a little production out of Brashard Smith, but it's not an explosive run game. Their defense isn't as good, so teams are able to move the ball against Kansas City. So all those things are adding towards Mahomes having to throw more. And here's the other thing. I don't have a stat for this, Kendall. I can't prove this in a court of law. I could not prove it. This is what I feel in my gut, Kendall, is that Patrick Mahomes sat there and got his ass kicked in the Super Bowl last year. Probably the worst, if not, I think probably statistically the second worst game of his career, but really, given the stage and the stakes, the worst game of his professional career. A guy that everything has worked for, and he's heard all the chatter. Oh, in the dynasty, and here comes this documentary where they didn't win, blah, 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 and they missed the three-peat. They got their ass kicked, and there's new loyalty in the NFL, and the Broncos and Chargers coming on the AFC West, and blah, 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 blah. He's heard all this talk, and so he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's just like, he wants to go scorched earth. He wants to go, listen, I'm still a bad MFer, and I'm going to show you. And it's not his personality to ever say that, but he's going to do that with his arm, with his legs, with his production. And so, again, couldn't prove it in a court of law, but that's what I just sort of think. NFL players are like us, are human beings. They hear all the stuff we hear. And, we all have egos. We all have insecurities. And so I just think Mahomes wants to make a point that, no. NFL royalty still goes through Arrowhead.
Oronde Gadsden getting a lot of attention. If he was available in your league, he was definitely picked up over the last couple of days. The tight end 2 over the last 2 weeks. We know they have a lot of receivers in the passing game that get usage as well. So where can Gadsden be at the tight end position for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I think he can. I think he can be a borderline tight end 1. I mean, look, what's amazing is not only you mentioned his tight end 2, but also go to fantasylife.com. Check out Dwayne McFarland's utilization score. He's one of the top tight ends. I think he's the second best tight end in utilization score over the last 2 weeks. And utilization score, for people that are not familiar, it's a proprietary metric that Dwayne came up with that basically looks at all the underlying data that shows what future fantasy success will look like. All the underlying data that points to that is most predictive in terms of future fantasy success. He dials into one usable number on a scale of 1 to 100 in terms of how was this player used and all the underlying metrics that we care about. And only one tight end in the NFL has had a higher utilization score over the last 2 weeks than Oronde Gadsden the second. Proud Syracuse alumni, by the way. Go Cuse, Cuse in the house. And the other thing, Adam, to your point, is that I think everyone, and I was on this list, everyone went up like, oh, coming into the season, Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman, obviously they're going to run. They're always run heavy. To date, no team is higher in pass rate over expectation than the Chargers. They throw it a ton, partially because their defense isn't great, partially because that's just how they want to roll. They've got 3 good wide receivers. And they obviously, look, Kimani Vidal has all the usage you want. Good game against Miami, bad game last week against the Colts. This is a team that wants to throw. Justin Herbert fully healthy. And so Gadsden, I don't know that they've gotten a ton of production from Tyler Conklin or Will Dissly. To me, the most exciting thing about Gadsden isn't the production, but that the production came while Will Dissly and Tyler Conklin were healthy. And he was still running that many routes. He still had a north of 70% route participation, but he was still out there and earning all those targets. So this is a guy that was a productive tight end at Syracuse. He's more of a move wide receiver than a true tight end, but we love that in fantasy. So, I'm in on Gadsden. I think it's legit.
All right, Matthew, before we let you go, it's National Tight Ends Day on Sunday, of course, the holiday that everyone looks forward to. We're building a parlay of anytime touchdown scorers. Would you like to give us one player, one tight end that you think is scoring on Sunday so we can add it to the parlay?
Well, who else do we have so far?
Nothing. You're the first one. We're letting you get the first shot at it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure. Then that's it. Give me Tyler Warren. Give me my boy Tyler Warren. Yeah,
I like it.
At home against the Titans. Yeah, give me Tyler Warren to get into the end zone this week. Yeah.
I like it. Awesome, Matthew. Warren. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you joining us here today. And where can people find you and your work this weekend? Where are you going to be at?
Well, obviously. It's Love Hate Day, so we're going to do the Love Hate episode of Fantasy Football Happy Hour right here at noon, just in about 24 minutes. That'll be live on YouTube on the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. It's available on demand on Peacock, on YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts as well. My new column will be up on NBCSports.com. 10 facts you need to know before Week 8. That'll be up here soon. But I think most importantly, Kendall, is people should go to FantasyLife.com. They should sign up for our free newsletter. I send out a free newsletter every single day that you can get the entire team puts together. It's great. It's a quick 5-minute read, lets you know everything you need to know about fantasy football. It's free. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe, but go check it out at fantasylife.com. And when you're there, if you would like, sign up to get Fantasy Life Plus for free. You heard me, for free. It's a $100 value, a year subscription, not just a free trial. This will be from now. If you sign up today, it'll be until October 23rd, 2026. So you're going to get 12 months of Fantasy Life Plus Tier 2, our most expensive package, $100 value. All you have to do is download the new Kmet browser, our friends at Kmet. It's an AI-powered browser. Just download that, and you get Fantasy Life Plus for free. This is a special that's only going on for a few more days, so go check it out. FantasyLife.com/Comet, COMET.
Awesome, Matthew. We appreciate it, and we will talk to you next week.
Thanks, Kendall. Go Blue Jays.
All right, there we go. Gosh, it's what I expected you to say, Adam. Look at this.
Well,
people are cheering for I will say people are cheering for Toronto because
of course. I mean,
again.
Number one, they're a good story, and number two,
are they a good story? I don't think their story's that good.
Yeah, it is.
No, I'm kidding. I know.
And then people are just tired. Like any team that wins a lot. If you're not a fan of that team, you don't want to see them win.
I'm okay with it. I think it's cool. We're living through some really good sports years. Like the Chiefs are amazing, and I know people hate it.
I don't hate the Dodgers. I actually like watching them play, even though they beat my Mets last year. But I'm rooting for Toronto. I love Vlad Guerrero. I mean, again, the Yankees lose. That is like one of the best videos ever. Like I can watch that. Back to back. I could watch that on a loop all day long.
You should make it your ringtone.
I should. I love Vlad Guerrero. Even before that, he's amazing. He went up several rungs on the ladder after that one.
All right. I don't mind watching dynasties. I just think it's cool that we get to live through that. Like you can't complain about Tom Brady. Well, you can complain about Tom Brady, but I just think it's cool.
We need to appreciate Ohtani that we get a chance to see him play.
Sure. that last game that he had where he pitched and he basically won the game by himself. No one else needed to show up out there.
You're never going to see that. It just doesn't happen.
It's amazing that we get to witness that. So I agree with you there. Don't go Blue Jays though. I'm going go Dodgers every single day of the week and twice on Sunday.
What, is it because Toronto eliminated you?
Are you crazy? Of course it is.
Okay.
What? Yeah. I will forever hate them, just like I will forever hate the Astros.
That's a division rival. I get that.
We didn't look good in that 18-inning game, though. It's because they made us sit through an 18-inning game. How about that? Yeah, no. Go Dodgers in this one. Matchup highs and lows. Exactly. Gonna go through some highlights and some lowlights here. Talking about Drake May. Bo Nix has a really good matchup this week. What should we expect from Quinshon Judkins at the Patriots? We're gonna break down those names and more coming up next. FantasyLife.com. That's where you can go and check out all of our rankings, all of our articles 100% free, and where you can go to get Fantasy Life Plus for free for one whole year. FantasyLife.com/Kmet, Comet. It's an AI-powered browser, thinking assistant that can help you. You go and download that, follow the 2-minute step-by-step guide, and then you can get Fantasy Life Plus for free. That means all of our rankings, projections, everything that we talk about here, you can get for free for 1 year. So make sure you go and check that out. FantasyLife.com/Kmet. We're still answering your questions over there at Valenzuela17, at Adam Ronis on X, and we're talking through matchup highs and lows. I think as much good things that we've said about Drake May for the New England Patriots, this is a tough matchup this week, Adam, going up against the Cleveland Browns. The next two matchups, really, it's Cleveland and Atlanta. And I think that's really going to be a test for this Patriots team. So I'm looking at him. The past 6 weeks, he's averaging 21.9 fantasy points, which is really good. He does bring us, fantasy goodness on the ground as well. I see a question here, which can lead into our conversation about Drake May. But the question from Micah is, do I start Herbert tonight over May? I have Drake May still ranked higher, but I understand it because, again, this is not the most fun matchup that you're going to get. But I would still say May in this situation. What about you?
It's really difficult for me to sit Drake May right now, no matter what the matchup is. And maybe he goes out there and has a dud. Wow, you mentioned the Browns have allowed the third fewest fantasy points to the quarterback position. We've talked about that run defense as well. So we know they have a good defense. They have not really faced, I guess Lamar Jackson was the only mobile quarterback
Lamar
they faced.
had a good.
Yeah, well, passing-wise, he had 225, 4 passing touchdowns, only 2 carries for 13 yards.
For 26 fantasy points. It's good.
Yeah, we know that May can run as well. So I think I'm going Drake May.
I am too. I'm uncomfortable by it. And the Patriots are favored by more than a touchdown here. I think I saw the spread sitting at 7.5. So he might not even need to do much in this game.
Well, also, okay, on the flip side though, if they're really good against the run, right? We know that.
Yes.
We've seen Stevenson have some bad games this year. So if they can't run the football, because we know Travion Henderson's not seeing the field.
No, he's not getting out there.
So if they can't run the football well, then they have to rely on Drake May here. Right?
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
I think can't expect
this game. I'm just curious how.
Yeah, I think they win the game too.
Man, Stevenson, he's just taken over this backfield too. And in the 2 games without Antonio Gibson, 74% of the snaps, 62% of the rushing attempts. And this, again, you said is a tougher matchup, but the underlying utilization and the trends that we like are the more important takeaways there. So I can see it with Drake May. Listen, I say that I'm not necessarily excited about it, and he's a follower in my rankings. That puts him at QB6. Like, that's where we're at with Drake May because he's been so good this season. So, again, a tougher matchup against Cleveland, but I would play Drake May ahead of Herbert tonight. I've got Herbert QB10. So it's not really close.
Yeah, I'm playing May. I think they win through May this week because I don't see Stevenson doing much on the ground now. Again, it doesn't mean you bench Stevenson. We talked about all the bye week issues and the volumes there for Stevenson. Stevenson's going to have to score a touchdown to come through in this matchup because, again, Cleveland has been really tough on running backs.
On the other side of this, though, Quinshon Judkins, you said it, Patriots defense has looked really good. And so he's coming off that huge performance, and it's a huge performance because he faced Miami.
I was going to say.
for
he had 3
fantasy
touchdowns,
points.
but
No,
the
I know. It's
yards.
the fantasy points. No, we're not looking at the
Yeah.
yards. I was with our CEO, Elliot Christ. He had the over on his yardage prop.
Do you
It
remember
was
what he had it
tough
at, though?
day. He had
Was
it in the
high 80s or low 90s?
I was going to say low 80s, I think.
Oh, okay. So you got it. Well, no, he
Well,
must have.
no, so mid 80s then. He didn't
Yeah,
get
because
it. It was one of those ones where he didn't hit.
And that one, that is a brutal beat because I think he had 71 yards in the second
In the
quarter.
beginning, yes.
Yeah.
And then we were watching that game like, oh no.
And I was like, damn it, I should have jumped in because it was like the mid 80s and it went to like the mid 90s because everyone, number one, the matchup against Miami, number two, the weather. And I know his carries were 20 and a half. That was the line on the carries, 20 and a half. So you figured, all right, if he's going over 20 and a half, he could average 4.5 yards per carry against this Miami defense. And boy, that was definitely, it must have been painful, right? He must have been really pissed.
So painful. He was looking at his phone the whole time, just watching it. Yeah, but again, this is going to be. I'm excited about this game. Because Quinshon Judkins on the other side, Patriots gave up. It was 26.2 fantasy points to Achane. That was week 2, so that was a while ago. But since then, you're looking at running backs having gone over 13.1 fantasy points. They're the 4th best defense at preventing explosive rushing plays. And that means that Quinshon Judkins, again, if you have him, you're still playing him. He's still in a really good spot in the rankings, but this will be a tough matchup for him.
Very tough. They haven't allowed a running back to rush for 50 yards this year.
Wow,
now,
really?
2 have had 49. Hubbard had 10 for 49. Cook had 15 for 49. I mean, the Cook one right there. I mean, look, they faced the Titans backfield last week. Okay. The Saints, Kamara's not the same. Holding Cook to 49 yards is impressive. Now, Hubbard and Dowdle that game combined 19 carries for 81 yards. That's still not great. They faced Pittsburgh. Jaylen Warren at 18 for 47. Achane, you mentioned, he had to get it done in the passing game. He only had 11 for 30 on the ground. And Genty, 19 for 38. So, yeah, this is a really tough matchup for Judkins. Look, you're playing him, but I am kind of interested to see what his prop is because I might go under. What is it? It's
what is it?
70 and a half is the highest number. 68 and a half on Vandal. Okay. That's intriguing. Might have to look into that.
It's interesting. We got Thursday Night Football tonight. We're going through the breakdown there, who to play, who to bench, and taking more of your questions coming up next. Thursday Night Football tonight. We've got a good game. Well, I hope it's a good game. Chargers-Vikings. Chargers are at home in this one. And a kickoff of, oh, no, you don't count Thursday games as National Tight Ends Day. So
no,
you can't count Oronde Gadsden.
Tight End Day. It says it clearly.
Tight end weekend. It really should be a good one. I know a lot of people have Oronde Gadsden questions. I've seen them come in at Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis over there on X because I'm sure he was picked up in a lot of leagues. He's my tight end 7 on the week, so I've got him behind. Let's see, let me filter this so it's easier. I've got him just right ahead of guys like Harold Fannin, Mason Taylor, Kyle Pitts, Zach Ertz. Kincaid's ahead of him. Dallas Goedert ahead, George Kittle, which freaks me out. But this should be a good game nonetheless here. I think Ladd McConkey, the last 2 weeks, he's looked like the rookie year Ladd McConkey that we've seen, 16 catches, 167 yards. So, yeah, and the Vikings, when will we ever see J.J. McCarthy again? We do not know, but it's Carson Wentz who's coming into this game banged up, too, with the shoulder injury. So, he's got good weapons, though, like Justin Jefferson, Addison, so we'll see what they were able to do. What are your expectations in this one?
I expect it to be a good competitive game. Joe Alt could be back, which is important for that offensive line. So, with Minnesota, look, we've seen Jordan Addison have 2 100-yard games out of 3. I think last week it was a product of Quinyon Mitchell on Jefferson a lot. Jefferson's still doing his thing, but, you're going to obviously trust him. The receivers for the Chargers are tough. I mean, you're kind of playing all of them at this point if you have them. And then Gadsden has just been unbelievable. So I'm flexing him in a couple leagues.
Yeah.
I might be with the bye week issues in the deep leagues. He's coming off a ridiculous game, 164 yards, caught 7 of 9 targets, as Matthew Berry alluded to in the utilization article by Dwayne McFarland. Not only is the production there, the utilization is there as well. 78.7% of the routes this past week It's 2 weeks in a row. He's over 75%. So he's making plays, and I don't think Herbert's going to ignore him, even though, again, there's so many weapons. I do expect a bounce back for Vidal. It's a better matchup. I don't expect them to fall behind by 20 right away. And because Herbert had to drop back to pass 55 times last week. So I think Vidal is that RB, not low RB2.
Aaron Jones, by the way, could make his not today, not ever. Well, one time accidentally, but it wasn't live on the air, so it does not count.
I can put the video on social media.
Don't.
I will.
Oh my goodness. He is able to return tonight, and I think this is a good question as well, because if he is able to go, I do have him as a borderline RB2 if active, and I think it goes back to the 1A 1B situation. They might ease him in a little bit because, again, an older running back, he's turning 31 in December, but Mason should still be the primary ball carrier in this game. But Jones, 40% of the rushing attempts. I think that's pretty much what we should look at if he is able to go tonight.
Yeah, I would expect him to be limited. I'm not even sure if he's going to go. I would still play Mason. The Chargers have struggled against running backs the last 3 weeks now. 2 of them with Devon Achane and Jonathan Taylor, and I'm not putting Jordan Mason in that conversation, but I do think you can get a solid game from Mason tonight. You really want the touchdowns and the yards from him. He has not been involved heavily in the passing game, and if Aaron Jones does play, I think that's where he factors in.
You willing to start him though? If you have him and he plays
Aaron Jones?
Aaron Jones, yeah. Is he in that? I've got him at RB 30 this week. If he's good to go tonight. If not, obviously, then you're just taking him out fully. But
I would not want to. I understand this is a tough week and you might not have better options, but ideally I'd like to stay away unless we get some specifics on his role and snaps.
All right. FantasyLife.com. That's where you guys can go check out all of our projections, all of our rankings. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us here today. Enjoy your Thursday. We will be back same time tomorrow. Enjoy Thursday Night Football. We'll see you then.